Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy The One, back with more AFK Journey content. The game will be releasing tomorrow. I'll be streaming it live. And with the game releasing tomorrow, I decided that it makes sense to come out with a tier list. So we're going to look at the best characters early on to invest in, and as well as the best characters late game as well. So yeah, let's get it.
Welcome to the pinnacle of Gacha gaming on YouTube.
Alright, so shout out to Pridewin. We're on their database right here. They have all the characters, and I like the style and the layout of their tier lists. So that's where we're using this today. So first off, we have the early game. So early game story right here. You can look at this. So you have Cecilia, and you have Vala. So the two of these guys are good. The two of these women are good early game in story and late game, as well as their S tier in PvP. And then as well as support units, you have Heween, if that's how you say Hawaiian. I don't know how you pronounce this, but she's S plus early and S plus mid and S plus late game, and she's S tier in PvP. And it says here that she's the best healer in the game, who heals can affect the whole battlefield, making her an easy slot in any composition. And once she unlocks her EX weapon, she also gains the ability to reduce the damage her allies take, making her even stronger. And it says her only issue is that it takes her some time to unleash her ultimate. So early on, you often pair her with another support. So yeah, she's a solid unit, man. Holy shit, she's a really good unit. And then you have Reiner. Reiner is the best character who already works with just a single copy, unlike the other characters in those factions, and he can switch positions between ally and enemy, disrupting the backline. So that's another thing. So he can actually swap positions between one of your allies and an enemy. So he can mess up the backlines. And it says he's the best Dream Realm debuffer with EX weapon unlocked, and he's S plus early, S plus, like he's just S plus all around. And then you have Rowan. Rowan fills exactly the same niche he filled in AFK Arena and Energy Battery, and he excels at it, making him a crucial element in any story progression team. While early on, his healing will be good enough to keep the team alive. Later on, you'll need to pair him with a dedicated healer. So yeah, there you have that. Really good early on. And he still maintains an S at least a minimum of S ranking late game as well. So he will be solid to invest in. And then tank wise, Thorin. Now Thorin is hands down the best tank in the game. Not only can he cheat death, but he can also deal a lot of damage, sometimes even one-shotting the enemy / tank team. He becomes even stronger with his EX weapon, as he can form a pact with an ally, taking damage instead of him, and in exchange getting healed when the ally deals damage. So this is very nice, very nice. So he's a really good tank, very good tank, Thorin. So yeah, these are pretty much the S tier units early game. And for specialists, we didn't look at a specialist, but the best specialist early game right now is Laika. It says that she's a can do it all character who can deal decent AoE damage, buff allies and debuff enemies at the same time, and she works really well with other AoE characters to quickly nuke the enemy team. And she's S tier early, but then she kind of she falls off in late game of story, and she's B tier in PvP. So there you have that. I'm curious to see what the late game looks like, so let's take a look at that. Okay. So we do have a lot of changes right here. So first off with Thorin, he's still S plus in late game story. Reiner's still S plus. Hewine still S plus. But then for the specialists, we have some new units right here. Before we get into that, we'll look at this. So Cecilia still remains S+. So Cecilia and Vala are 2 DPS units, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, in my last video where I looked at the release overview of the events, and she's going to be the first raid up banner. So she's going to be really worth pulling on. So we have a really good banner to start out the game. So if you're thinking, oh, should I save my pulls? Nope, go all in on Vala, man. Go all in on Vala, as she's going to remain good late game, in story, and in PvP. So there you have that. Cecilia also remains good, but Odie, he's one of the best A-level damage dealers in the game, who shines in both PvE and PvP content. The combination of poison, the ability to instantly kill enemies on low HP, and the massive energy recovery that happens when he kills someone makes him a monster who can quickly kill the whole enemy team by himself. And also, here's the thing, he's S tier early on in story, but he actually bumps up to S+ in the mid game to late game, dream, and PvP. So yeah, he is overall an insane unit who actually becomes later on who actually becomes better the more you progress. So he's a solid unit as well. And then we have Dionel. Whoa, he actually has a massive glow up. So he's a grade early in story, but then he bumps up to S+ late game in story and bumps up to an S in PvP. Okay, so let's read his kit right here. So it says, while Dionel's damage output is great, he lacks a dedicated buffer that can allow him to use his kit fully, and you need to stack 2 to 3 different buffers to bring him fully online. Okay, and it says raising him will take you much longer compared to other factions, but his damage output is insane if you manage to do so. Okay, so he's a bit shaky, so he's a bit harder to... So he's a bit shaky early game, and then gets a bit better late game. Okay, but you do require a lot of buffers to make him good by the looks of things. And then we have Carolina. Holy crap, she was a B tier in early game story, and then she bumps up to an S mid game and an S+ late game in story and an S+ in PvP. She's a damage dealer who specializes in debuffing and CCing enemies, and who has synergy with other CC characters, and she's a late bloomer. Okay, and she's part of the Aaron meta team. Okay, and then here we have Aaron. He's a B tier early game, S mid game, then S+ late game, and S+ in PvP. And it says here, early on he's terrible to play, but everything changes once he unlocks his EX weapon. After that, he can instantly gather enemies in one place. Ooh, that's really good. He can gather enemies in one place at the start of the battle and debuff them, setting up his team for a combo wombo. He's part of the current strongest PvP with Carolina and Arden. Okay, where is Arden? So this is Arden right here. Okay, so we looked at Carolina, and we have Heron there. But I'm curious about this PvP team, right, that he has here. But first, let's look at Igor. Igor is one of the most annoying enemies you'll face in PvE and PvP. He jumps around the battlefield, cheating death, while at the same time chipping at your team's HP. While he was nerfed just before the game's released, he's still a menace on PvP defenses. Okay, so he's a bit of a pest. He's A grade early on. Then he's S mid game, S+ late game story, and S tier PvP. So he's very solid on defense teams. Okay, so going back to Aaron. So Aaron is part of the strongest PvP team with Carolina and Arden. So we looked at Carolina, we looked at Aaron. So Arden, let's just take a sneak peek at what he does. So it says Arden is a late bloomer who can drastically increase his damage output when paired with characters who use CC. Without them, he's below average. He's part of the Aaron meta comp. Okay, so he's fairly only good with units who do CC. Okay, and he's B early on, he's B early on, A mid, S late, and S in PvP. So he's fairly trash in story. So he's more of a PvP unit. So the PvP meta: Arden, Aaron, Carolina. Okay. Real quick, let's just take a look at the early game again. Let's just take a look at the S tier, where other units are at. So Odie was here. He bumps up to S plus. Leica falls off. I'm just curious with all these other units. Dionel was here in A tier early on. Shakir. Okay, so he's A grade right here. So he says Shakir is a bruiser who can deal good damage and support nearby allies at the same time. He can do a lot of things, and what's rare, he actually does it all decently well, allowing him to shine both in PvE and PvP. He's a core member of any Mauler based team. Okay, and then here we have Temisa. Okay, unique character who fights mounted, ignoring the walls, and overall being a menace. She's great in the story to disrupt enemy formation. Great in Dream Realm as her damage is decent. Okay, and she's annoying early on in PvP, but late game in PvP, or sorry, later on in PvP, eventually she drops off. All right. And then Arden B, jeez, and Carolina. So Carolina, Air, and Aaron, these guys are B tier, but they end up being S tier late game. So these guys, so Carolina, Aaron, and Arden are worth building. So keep your eyes on them, and they're one of the best units to build for late game and for PvP. Okay, so I'll be definitely keeping my eye on those guys to build for that meta team. Okay, and then we looked at let's just take a quick look at PvP. Alright, so this is the PvP tier list right here. So Odie is the best damage dealer in PvP. Then we have Carolina, Aaron. Then this who is this here? So this is Scarlita. Scarlita is a specialist who at the start of the battle jumps into the air to support her allies with shields instead of fighting beside them. After some time, she gets bored and descends on the battlefield to deal massive amounts of damage. Sadly, a lot of her power is locked behind the EX weapon and skill enhancement. Okay, so early on her performance is underwhelming. Okay. Then Damien, Rowan, we have Rowan, he's a good healer. Thoran as well, solid. Okay, and then Vala and Cecilia aren't the best, aren't S plus like Odie, but they're solid. So like I said, Vala is definitely a unit that you guys should summon on when she drops. So yeah, that is pretty much the global, I guess you guys could say the global launch day 1 tier list. So we took a look at the best characters early game, the best characters late game, and the best characters for PvP, and the best characters who are fairly bad early on but who glow up and turn out to be one of the best units late game. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Is there anything you disagree with this tier list? Let me know. And also, are you guys excited for AFK Journey? With that out of the way, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, join us in the Discord, Lions Pride. Take care and peace, guys.
This is Escanor, the Lion Sin of Pride from 7 Deadly Sins. Thank you for watching the pinnacle of Gacha gaming on YouTube. The One.